Okay, so we've just been digging through, a huge stack of info from Google I/O 2025.
Yeah, all the articles, reports, analyst notes. It was a lot.
Right. Welcome to the deep dive. This is where we take all that raw material, all that noise, and really try to pull out the important
The
stuff.
nuggets, the insights that actually matter for you.
Exactly. Help you get informed fast. And the story this year, coming out of I/O just now, May 20th, 21st, it felt pretty singular.
Hmm.
Our mission today is really to understand this huge shift we saw. Google's just overwhelming focus on AI.
Yeah,
And
all-consuming is a good word for it.
so we'll unpack what they announced, why it felt so different, what the market reaction tells us.
And maybe most importantly, what you should actually take away from it all.
Yeah, we've looked at the feature breakdowns, the analysis pieces, and importantly, the investor angle too.
And this really wasn't your typical Google event, was it? Not just some new features rolled out. From everything we've read, this felt like Google making its biggest strategic bet in a while, especially with its core business, facing some real challenges.
A full-on AI spectacle, like you said.
Totally.
So let's just dive right in. The main point, the one everyone seems to agree on from the reports.
Oh, without a doubt. Google I/O 2025 was overwhelmingly, intensely focused on AI.
Right.
One source even specifically noted how things like Android or traditional hardware got, well, noticeably less time in the spotlight this year compared to usual.
It wasn't just a topic. It felt like the absolute foundation for almost every announcement.
Exactly. Every product, every new initiative seemed to be viewed through this AI lens.
It wasn't subtle, was it?
Not at all. It felt like Google basically declaring AI isn't just part of our future, it is our future. It's the core strategy now.
Okay, and the engine driving all this, according to the technical reports, that's Gemini.
Yeah, Gemini. Google's latest, they say most advanced AI model, and it is absolutely fundamental to everything they showcased.
What makes it tick? What did the sources say about its actual capabilities?
I think the key word is multimodal,
Okay.
which basically means it's not just text. It understands and generates info across different formats, images, code. They even showed it understanding concepts from like a simple sketch.
Huh. Like drawing something and it gets it.
Yeah, one example highlighted was showing it a diagram and then having it start generating code based just on that visual. It's about AI interacting more like humans do, across senses.
And they're not keeping this lost away. It sounds like Gemini's popping up everywhere in their stuff.
Oh, yeah, it's being woven right into the fabric of the Google ecosystem. We saw mentions of it in search, obviously, but also Chrome, workspace apps like Gmail.
Right, smart replies and things.
Exactly. And YouTube, Google TV, WearOS for watches, even these new extended reality or XR devices they're talking about.
And they mentioned an update too.
The Gemini 2.5 family. Supposedly smarter, more efficient. And that's what's powering some key new things, like the more conversational search capabilities and those personalized smart replies we just mentioned.
Okay, let's talk search then. Because this seems like where the really big, maybe even disruptive changes are happening. Reports kept using words like reimagined.
Yeah, this feels like a fundamental shift. This new AI mode in search, it's moving towards something more like a chat assistant.
So not just links.
Right. Instead of just that list of blue links, you ask a question, and the AI gives you a summarized answer. They're calling them AI overviews, pulled from different web sources.
But it's interactive, right? That's what the reviews seem to stress.
Exactly, that's key. You can ask follow-up questions right there in the search results. You might get visuals like charts or images alongside the text summary.
And even do stuff?
Yeah, potentially complete tasks like finding restaurant availability and maybe booking it, all without leaving the Google search page.
And there's a personalization element too, isn't there?
Yes. The AI mode can apparently use your past searches, info from other Google services, if you let it, of course, to give you results that are hopefully more relevant to you.
Now, the why. Why push this so hard? Especially in search. The analysis pieces seem pretty direct about this.
Well, it looks like a direct response to competition. Rivals like OpenAI's ChatGPT offer that conversational way to get info, which, bypasses traditional search entirely.
And so Google's fighting back on that front.
Seems like it. They're essentially saying, okay, you want conversation, we'll build AI conversation right into search itself.
So AI is reshaping their absolute core product. But it doesn't stop there, right? The sources talked about AI in lots of other areas too.
Yeah, beyond search, they're embedding AI to try and make other daily tasks easier, like shopping.
Right, helping sift through products.
Exactly. Billions of products showing you the best options. And there were some neat little features mentioned.
Yeah, I saw those. The virtual try-on.
Yeah. Using your own photo to see how clothes might look, that's pretty engaging. Or getting alerts automatically if a price drops on something you've looked at.
Practical stuff.
It seems focused on practical, user-centric AI there.
And then there were the creative tools. Generative AI.
They rolled out tools for creating media just from text prompts, VO3 for video,
Imagen 4 for images.
and Lyria 2 for music. And the reports noted these tools are getting much better at understanding like the nuance and context in your prompts.
So more natural results.
Hopefully, yeah. It's about making creation more accessible, I guess.
Looking a bit further ahead, there were some announcements that felt more future-gazing, hinting at new interaction models.
Definitely. They showed Project Astra, described as a prototype, really, for a next-gen AI assistant.
What's the big idea with Astra?
The goal seems to be this universal AI assistant. The demo showed it using a camera to see, listening, remembering context from earlier.
Like remembering what it just saw.
Yeah, and responding in real time, aiming for a much more fluid, kind of aware interaction with tech.
But it's not out yet.
No, not as a standalone thing. But they did say parts of that research are already feeding into features like Google's Gemini Live.
Gotcha. And they also talked about AI for devices, XR.
Right. They mentioned Android XR, which is their platform for augmented and virtual reality, and announced new smart glasses and headsets.
The idea being?
That AI will let these devices understand and interact with the real world in new ways, layering digital info contextually, that sort of thing.
And quickly, for developers building all this,
Yeah.
any tools mentioned?
Yeah, briefly. They highlighted things like Litter and the AI Edge portal, basically tools to help developers build and test AI apps that run efficiently on your device, not always needing the cloud.
Making it easier to build this stuff.
That's the goal, yeah.
Yeah.
More efficient development.
Okay, let's shift gears now. Because the reports we looked at brought in a really critical angle. Beyond just the tech itself, the investor perspective.
Yeah, and this adds a whole different layer of, well, reality to the situation. You have to remember the context. Before I.O., Google stock had actually dipped, about 12% this year?
Oof. And why was that? What were the investors worried about?
The main concern cited was precisely this AI competition, things like ChatGPT. The fear was that these new conversational AIs could seriously disrupt Google's core search advertising business.
Which is where they make most of their money.
Exactly, the cash cow.
So given that anxiety, what was Wall Street's reaction to the actual I.O. announcements?
Well, analysts seemed generally impressed by the technology itself. Lots of praise for the technical progress, how aggressively Google is weaving AI into everything. The innovation wasn't really in doubt.
But I sense a but coming. Was that enough to calm those investor nerves?
Not entirely, no. The reports citing analysts from big firms, Goldman Sachs, Citi, JP Morgan, were mentioned. They acknowledged the tech firepower, but they stayed pretty cautious.
Cautious about what specifically?
About how quickly these impressive AI features will actually turn into concrete revenue, especially with search changing so much.
Ah, the monetization question.
That's the big unknown. How do you effectively monetize AI overviews compared to traditional ad links? If people click less, where does the ad revenue come from? It's still a bit hazy.
So, cool tech. Uncertain business model in the short term. What about the longer view from those same analysts?
The more nuanced take, again from those sources citing Goldman, Citi, JP Morgan, seems to be that this deep AI integration is actually a really strong long-term strategic play.
How so?
It positions Google to stay a major leader in the AI era, even with intense competition. It's about future-proofing, securing their place down the road, even if the immediate path for search revenue looks, well, complicated.
Okay, so the core tension, summing up what the report suggests.
It seems to be this. The technology Google's building is undeniably impressive, and it's going everywhere in their ecosystem.
But the clear strategy for making reliable money off it, especially in that crucial search market, and what it means for market share, that's still uncertain.
Exactly. The next year or so feels pretty critical. Can Google translate this massive AI push into solid, stable profits that satisfy the market? That's what everyone's watching.
Right. So let's try to synthesize this for you, the listener, based on everything we've covered from the sources.
Yeah, the big takeaway is pretty clear. Google is going all in on AI. They're putting Gemini absolutely everywhere you look in their services.
Trying to make tech feel less like separate tools, more like one helpful, personalized assistant.
That seems to be the goal, yeah. Woven into your digital life. And they're moving fast, no doubt driven by those competitive threats we talked about.
But that fundamental tension the reports highlighted, it's still there.
Mm-hmm. Impressive tech, broad integration, but the specific path to making it reliably profitable, especially in search, that's still developing.
And that's the multi-billion-dollar question that analysts, investors, and probably you as a user will be tracking very closely.
It's that classic tech dynamic, isn't it? Build something amazing and new, and then figure out the business model, especially if the new thing changes how people behave.
Which leads us to a final thought for you to chew on, really stemming from that core tension in the source material innovation versus monetization.
Yeah.
Google's building this future where AI is this deeply integrated, helpful assistant. But their whole business, almost, is built on ads within traditional search results. So the big question, kind of hanging in the air after I.O., is can this helpful assistant future also be a sustainably profitable one for Google?
Or does this shift in how you get information fundamentally change the economics of the internet? Maybe in ways we can't quite predict yet.
Exactly. What does that mean for how you'll find and use information online in the next few years? Definitely something to mull over.